Do you have to be top 500 or even Grandmasters to have an opinion in Overwatch 2? I'm going to start off with say, no. Every time balance changes come up in Overwatch, there's always someone who says, well, what rank are you? Or, oh, plat chat, not listening to you. As if only Grandmasters or top 500 players are allowed to talk about the game. And here's my first point here. Rank doesn't necessarily mean knowledge. Rank measures your execution, not necessarily your understanding or full understanding of the game. You can know what the meta is, why certain heroes are strong, and what feels unhealthy for the game, even if you're a lower rank in gold or plat or even diamond. Right? Not every single person has the amount of time to play this game and commit endless hours daily to rank up and climb elo. Not everyone's going to have perfect aim or, perfect mechanics or thousands of hours to grind. But that doesn't mean as a person you can't analyze the state of what a game is in as far as balances go, right? And I think of it this way. Overwatch is a game, and you have pro players in the pro scene who are probably the top 100 to 200 players in the world. They all are the best at what they do in the specific roles and heroes they play. Do they play every role or hero at that level? Not always the case, right? So if you're a DPS and you main one hero or main 2 or 3 heroes, you're going to have more extensive knowledge about that hero and their mechanics and their positioning and what is healthy for them in the game and their counters, right? Now, all these pro players, they have coaches. That means they need someone to analyze their gameplay, analyze strategies and what's best for their team and their composition and all the aspects of those players and what their strengths and weaknesses are. These are folks who are reviewing things from a high level, doing high level analysis to understand how these pro players can be better and execute things better as a team. So when I go and think about it and I compare it to sports, you have basketball teams where there could be the best players in the absolute world playing on an NBA basketball team, but they just don't cut it as a basketball coach because they can't just be that in-game leader. They can't motivate folks. They can't give an overview of what their team requires and what benefits those and whatnot. And it just doesn't work in their head, right? So they could be the best, right? And there be the highest rank and have extremely great execution, but not have full understanding of the game and understanding of what's best for the game. And gold and plat make up a massive portion of the player base. And I know people are going to say, well, what rank are you? And I will say, I'm not gold or plat. And I don't think I've really ever been gold or plat. I think the lowest I ever was plat, high plat in my very first season of Overwatch 1. Every single season after that, I've been masters or above in GM and top 500. So I'm here speaking for everyone as a whole. I'm not necessarily even speaking for myself here and defending myself. So I'm going to say gold and plat make up a huge portion of the player base, and they're right to have an opinion. If a hero is dominating or miserable to play against at those ranks, that matters. Pro play shouldn't carry over as to what the meta should be, right? It's about how the game feels for the majority of people actually playing it. And I think that is very important. And I'm not going to say, don't get me wrong here, that Grandmasters and top 500 players, their opinions don't matter now. No, that's absolutely not what I'm saying. They should definitely carry more weight when we analyze things, but they shouldn't be the absolute authority. And you shouldn't discredit folks just because they're not as good as you at the game. They're not as high as rank. These Grandmasters and top 500 players, yes, they do play at the highest level. They punish mistakes instantly, and they see some interactions you probably won't see in their games in the lower elo games. But more weight doesn't necessarily mean everyone else's opinion is invalid. A Grandmaster could probably tell you why something is broken at the top level, but a gold or plat player can tell you why something is oppressive, confusing, or unfun at the lower ranks. So we can't just discredit folks because their rank, but we should also credit folks at a higher rank a little bit more and have their opinions carry a little bit more weight. And collectively, as a community, we should come together. So I'm tired of people saying, plat chat this, plat chat that. Like, you don't have to be the best of the best to know what could potentially better a game that you love and play all the time. So knowledge, as I say here, knowledge comes from many places. You could be knowledgeable by simply watching pro play, right? You may not play it as much, but you could watch pro play, watch pros and what they do, and watch what and learn about what their coaches do to make that team better. They could have subs come in because someone's not playing as well, or they're just a better overall player for what the other team has, and that's a better matchup to put one player in against the other, maybe on tank or DPS or support. Another thing is you could study patch notes, right? So there's patch notes that come out every couple of months or so, and things make changes in there to heroes that for better or worse, and you could study those and maybe use that to your advantage, or just know what would be better in that situation. And I'll give you an example. If, let's say, Genji gets a buff for once in a world, like maybe Genji's gonna be a little bit easier to play and more punishing if you don't have him on your team. Another example is Bastion now is getting basically banned a lot in higher elo games and even below because he got a pretty big buff with his firing capabilities. So there's things that people notice and say, maybe I should ban it. Vendetta was new to the game, right? Nobody really knew much about her and weren't very knowledgeable about her. And she got all these tweaks in patches, but I didn't really think she was that broken. But people were just banning her outright every single game, even in a higher elo, because they weren't knowledgeable of how to play against her, how to counter her. Now that things have started to settle a little bit, she got some tweaks in the patch notes that I've studied, and she's not, in my personal opinion, as oppressive and as ban worthy as what initially people thought she was. So you understand the game more. You also can understand more by playing multiple roles, observing multiple roles, so you know how tanks play, DPS plays, and support plays, and all the different positioning aspects for different heroes. Understand your win conditions, right? So what do I need to win? Do I need to counter swap? Do I need to learn how to play other heroes instead of just being a one trick? And then on top of it all, consuming high level analysis content. Like I said, going back to watching pro play or watching top level streamers and content creators who create guides, or even watching their live content as they stream to understand what they're doing in the game and what their positioning is, who their target priority is. These are all things that you can watch and learn and improve your gameplay and also improve your knowledge, even if you aren't playing, as saying, well, I'm observing, I'm coaching in a way, and I know what may be best for the game, as opposed to someone who's not really consuming this high level analysis content and just going out and grinding 6, 7, 8 hours a day and climbing. Not everyone learns by climbing, right? And I'm not discrediting climbing. Obviously, you get better at the game by climbing, right? You're playing better, you're learning more there, but learning more basically your heroes and your role that you're playing. But not everyone learns by climbing. A lot of people learn by watching and observing. So my closing statement here is you don't necessarily need to be top 500 to have an opinion. You just need to be informed, honest, and also willing to listen. Rank, it should add context to an argument and to a debate. It shouldn't silence it. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.